We're talking about ASICS. We're talking about the ASICS Novablast 5. Welcome back to the channel. I am Cody with The Shoe with Cody, and today we got ourselves a good one. I am talking about the newest daily trainer from ASICS. I'm talking about the Novablast 5. I've been racking the miles, and I maybe have like 33, 34 miles into this shoe, and I got a lot to say. In this video, I'm going to cover the good, the bad, and the verdict. Should you buy this shoe? Yeah, this shoe right here. Now, before I dive into all of that goodness, I do want to point out one thing. ASICS did send this shoe for review, but they have no say in what I'm going to say in this review or any of my content about their gear. I also have a big favor to ask you all. Hit the like button, smash the subscribe button. You know you want to. Costs you absolutely nothing, but it definitely helps the channel. Now let's sit back, relax, and let's talk about the ASICS Novablast 5. Because I'm a positive guy, I'm going to start with the positives first. And honestly, there's a lot to like about this shoe. The number one thing, though, has to be the new foam that they just dropped, the Flight Foam Blast Max. This thing is so freaking comfortable underfoot. I don't know if you guys can see it that well, but I'm telling you, underfoot, this foam feels fantastic. It feels fantastic on those daily runs, when I want to pick the pace up, as well as when I'm going long in the shoe. It just answers the bell. I think this is maybe slightly softer than the Flight Foam Blast Plus, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's too soft where you feel like you're running on marshmallows. I think it's that perfect. It's slightly softer, and it just feels really comfortable and really responsive. The upper, really nice. Honestly, there's nothing too crazy about the upper. It's a daily trainer that gets the job done. We're talking about a pretty darn stout heel. Lock it in, no heel issues at all, no heel slippage, just worked really well. The tongue, it has pads where you want it to be, but in most part, it's pretty minimal for a daily trainer. Not minimum like a race day shoe, but for a daily trainer, it's actually not that bad. It's like partially gusseted, but again, lock it in and you forget that it is on. For me personally, it feels like it's a little wider. For me, that's not a bad thing. I feel like the toe box was a little bit roomier and it fit really nice in my size. I'm a men's 9.5 in all ASICS and it worked really nicely. I'm a 9.5 in this one. No issues at all. I didn't have any slipping this way or this way. The extra room for me, and maybe my, wider-ish feet friends, you're gonna really enjoy this. Traction was fine. Nothing too crazy. I'm not gonna get too, it's a road shoe. It's been pretty rainy in my area, and it's doing a great job. It's not like a Vibram outsole like you might get from a trail shoe. It's doing fine, no issues at all. Honestly, for the price, I believe it's $140 or $150. You get a ton. I'm talking about, this is a daily trainer that you can flex and do a ton with it. If you're getting ready in the upcoming spring to train for a marathon, this could do multiple categories for you. Daily runs, recovery runs, long runs. I'm telling you, you can take this double digits easily. The foam is comfortable, as well as on those long runs. I'm not talking about speed work, but if you want to pick the pace up, you can do it really easily. I think I did, my longest run of this one was about 12 miles, and I did about a 7:30-ish pace, and it felt really good. Honestly, if I wasn't training, I probably would have been able to go a little bit faster and a little bit further in the shoe. But I'm honestly, in that holiday mode, I'm not really pushing the pace and I'm not really pushing the mileage with it. But again, for that price tag, I think the 5 is a huge upgrade from the 4. And I thought the 4 was a really good shoe. I think it's just the Flight Foam Blast Max. That is a mouthful. Just takes this to that next level at a really good price. With the good, you do know there has to be some bad. And honestly, my number one was not an issue for me, but I do think it's going to be an issue for some folks. I think the toe box might be a little too roomy for some people now. For me, I'm not having any issues, but I have a wide-ish foot. I think for folks that have a pretty narrow foot, you're going to have a ton of bunching right here and potentially too much room in the shoe. I just want to point that out. The other thing I want to point out too is like I had no issues with slipping and sliding except for one run. I wore a pair of socks that it was more like not silky, but it was like a silky type kind of sock. That and the insole that they have did cause a little bit of issues. That was the only run that I had some slipping back and forth, but I'm going to chalk that up to socks. But I do want to point that out. Be careful with the socks you wear. The insole is not anything crazy. I don't understand it, but I do want to point that out. It's good, but just be careful with the socks. Whenever I wore a stance sock, pretty like thicker sock, or just a regular sock, I had no issues at all. The one thing another thing I want to point out, the tongue, while I really enjoy it, I still have no idea what this is. I don't know. It's just me nitpicking at this point, but I have no idea what it is. The other thing is, I know I said the rubber was good. It's good. It's nothing to ride home with. It's not a super negative, but it is something I want to point out. If you live in some gnarly rainy terrain, just be careful. I think there's better rubbers out there for a daily trainer. And especially if you plan on going long distance with this, I think, quite frank, I think if you're going long distances, the rubber's going to be fine. If it's super wet, you might have some issues. The other kind of concern I have with this is there's a lot of exposed foam right here. While it's, again, I have 33-ish miles in it, I'm a little bit worried. You're seeing some durability right here. Yeah, do I still think you get 300 miles in it? Yeah, but I think if you run on gravel roads, just be careful. I think a lot of exposed right here could just kind of rip it up a little bit. I've been doing mainly road miles, so I'm not seeing any issues. But again, a couple caveats to that. Slightly narrow foot, you might have issues. Super rainy areas, the grip, you might have some issues. And honestly, if you run on gravel, just be careful because again, that is a lot of exposed foam and you might end up running into some issues. You heard the good, you heard the bad. Now you want to hear my verdict. Should you buy this shoe? Yeah, the ASICS Novablast 5. And honestly, there's a couple negatives, but I feel like I'm nitpicking a little bit. This is an absolute buy to me. This is a top 5 daily trainer for me for 2024. I wish it came earlier in the year because I did some big training blocks, and this would have been fantastic to train for the Steamtown or even the Delaware Marathon. But again, I think this is a top 5 daily trainer. The Flight Foam Blast Max Foam is what does it for me. It is so freaking nice, and I do think if you're planning on training for anything, or if you don't want to plan for something, you just want to clack up the miles, run, walk, whatever the situation is, I think this is one of the most comfortable shoes, a very responsive shoe, and just gets the job done. And honestly, at the price, I think it's a really good price. And again, I think it's about $140, $150. I'll drop it somewhere, and I'll definitely drop it in the notes below. But again, for me, this is an absolute buy because I absolutely loved running in it. You heard the good, you heard the bad, and you heard my verdict. Now I want to hear from you. Have you tried the Novablast 5? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know. Drop a comment down below. Again, I really appreciate you watching this video and this review. This channel has definitely been growing because of you all from watching it, and I do appreciate it. I definitely want to remind people, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next one. Thanks for checking out this latest review. Don't forget, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and check out some of the other rad content that I've dropped out on the channel.